The next segment we're going to cover is sustainability. And what's interesting about sustainability is it actually touches each of the prior categories. And we're all talking about it. It's very top of mind with consumers. But we wanted to understand, well, how does that compare to these segments themselves? Is it a number one attribute people are looking for, or is it down the list a little bit? So sustainability is a broad term. So it is a sort of what consumers think about when it comes to the external environment and the internal environment. And there's thinking of it in terms of supply chain. Where are my products sourced from? What's the early components? Is that fair trade based? Do they use good farming practices? Are they, recycling at the early stage of supply, all the way to the end stage, which is, is this packaging recyclable? And so we always think of sustainability as having a bunch of different components. When we looked at sustainability as a message that pops up while people are talking about these different areas, it ranks a little bit lower than you would have thought. When you know how important sustainability is to the target audience, we would have thought this would be a little bit higher. But when they're talking about fermented beverages, they also mention sustainability about 2.56% of the time. And it's even lower on some of these other two, and a little bit higher on plant-based protein snacks. So that's low relative to the other attributes they're talking about. The health benefits, the sticking within my keto diet, and those things tend to be more top of mind. But they're still important, and as you can see from the growth rate, they're growing pretty rapidly. So it's important to stay focused on this. Ethical practices is something that start out very, very small, but is within these segments of products, but is growing rapidly. Recyclability, biodiversity, the social aspects of it, and then pollution control, slightly different from recyclable. That one is down a little bit as people just sort of shift their nomenclature. But these are important things to consider as you build that plan and come out with that market. And some people have done it really well. Regrained is a snack puff that's made out of the product that's done when you finish brewing with yeast and sugars. The residue is turned into regrained. And so, you've extracted what you need to go make beer or other malted beverages, and you have this grain left over, and that gets turned into this regrained recycled food, which is really kind of a smart idea. Another approach to sustainability is the more, charitable giving kind of approach. And so this bar Saves Lives literally takes its proceeds when you buy this snack bar and sends a meal kit to children in a developing country where they have nutrition issues. And so they have a cause organization that's really simple to understand, and you get that benefit right away. And then Alter Eco goes back and thinks about the supply chain and where are we getting our ingredients from, and how do we have a more verdant and biodiverse environment. So they focus on, well, let's substitute different products to encourage and enhance biodiversity in kind of a closed loop system. And there's 4 or 5 other ones that we could talk about that have found really innovative ways to recycle products that are normally discarded. You've probably seen the snacks made out of the fruit and bananas and so forth that aren't ready for the supermarket or discarded for the supermarket because they have spots, but they're perfectly okay to be used in snack foods and so forth. So this is a really interesting area that can cross across different product categories. It skews a little bit more male, 54% male of those conversations about sustainability to 46% female, but the female side is growing quite rapidly in those conversations. And so when we look at the psychographics, we want to understand, if I was developing this product and then focusing a sustainable message here, who am I going to appeal to? Pet owners index very high. Not exactly sure, but I own a lot of pets. Pet owners are just good people, so I think it's just inherent in our makeup. But gluten-free, vegan, people in weight loss, you can understand those. Those all make sense for this area. And then the people who have a bigger carbon footprint because we're driving to the office or we're getting on airplanes, or we're athletes and we're getting on airplanes and traveling. A little less important in the mentions, it's a little bit lower, and the growth rate's not there. But no surprise that people who are in regimen diets, vegan and so forth, really think a lot about this area.